up, and dirt? What it do? It's your boy Smoove the Black Kennedy, featuring my man's M DOT, and this is Step Into the Light, Step Into the Mic podcast. Welcome everybody. How y'all doing this evening?
I'm great. I'm good. God is good. Amen to that.
Amen.
I think, as this podcast is progressing, we're coming in stronger and better, and we're bringing in better energy. And I think the audience can kind of see that, and their listeners can kind of hear that. So I'm good. I'm great. You know what I mean? I'm in a good space. My head is straight. My mental is good. I can't call it. And now we're gonna introduce Miss Nicole Stokes, who is an attorney, Esquire.
Not yet. We can't say Esquire yet. We're pending bar results, but I love.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have to.
You have to. That. I'll explain
affirmations.
How it works, but I appreciate the positivity.
Yeah. So just to add to her introduction, because we got to put her here. You know what I mean? She's very esteemed, fitness oriented, has her blogs, does different things. Black lawyer. So here she is, Miss Nicole Stokes. Miss Nicole Stokes, please introduce yourself. Tell the guests, about your life, your background, those type of things. I know they would love to hear it.
Yes. Well, first, thank you guys for providing this platform and even having me. I think that this is amazing. So shout out to all your listeners. I hope that they enjoyed this podcast. But again, like you said, my name is Nicole Stokes. I am a lawyer. The difference is, right, you become an attorney after you pass the bar, which means that you can actually go to court and argue cases. So I did graduate from law school. Pre-law school, I worked in banking and finance for about 6 years, customer service. I did that full time while I went to my undergrad, and I got my master's in business administration. So I've been in school forever. You can say that, but I think it's important to be a lifelong learner. I was always taught that people can take a lot from you, but they can never take education from you. What you know is what you know. What's in your mind is in your mind, and people can't take that from you. So that's a little bit about my work background. What do we need? Life background?
Yeah, just where you started from. Why did you let me just throw this question out here, but why did you become a lawyer? Because you're talking about a business, finance, you could have done, in the corporate world, you could have done Wall Street, stockbroking. Why lawyer? Why?
That's a crazy question. And when people ask, I feel like I have the cookie cutter answer kind of, but not really. So I always wanted to be a lawyer, right? When you're a kid, they ask you what you want to do. And I'm like, I'm going to be a lawyer. That's what I'm going to do. And life doesn't always happen that way. So as you can see, I never thought I would actually go to law school. I got my undergrad in marketing, minored in finance, went and got an MBA, worked at a bank for 6 years. And I actually, not that I hated it, but I never saw anybody at the companies I was at that I wanted to emulate. Nothing good or bad. I mean, I met amazing people, but position-wise, I said, I don't really want to do this forever. And I'm a firm believer that life is way too short to be unhappy. So a friend at the time was like, did you always think about law school? And I was like, yes, actually I did. So I was like, if I take the LSAT and I pass it, I get a score that's good enough to go, I will go. And so I felt like the type of law I wanted to practice was fueled by, I feel like people in our generation have amazing ideas, right? We have $1 million ideas, things that we'll never accomplish, not good or bad, right? But because we don't know how to either one, handle ourselves in a lot of the rooms that we're going to be in. Two, we're not in those rooms of those people making decisions. Or three, we just don't have the business acumen because we are blazing the trail ourselves. I'm a first generation law student. I know a lot of people are first generation business owners. So they're just blazing this trail. And I felt like I had tons of experience in corporate and finance and school. And that's kind of where I thrive. So I said, if I can go to law school, take everything I know and help my friends, their families, just young entrepreneurs get their business acumen, give them the information they need to be successful, why not? So I took the LSAT, I got an okay score, I got accepted into law school, and here I am with you guys.
That's what's up. Wow. Yeah, that's a great story. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. So what you speaking on the LSAT, the listeners, the audience, they don't really understand what that is. Can you explain that test and what it took for you to get that score that you got to get into law school?
Yes. So the LSAT, for those who want to know, I think it stands for the Law School Admissions Test. So I think that's right. And it's just like any graduate test that you have to take to get into like a postgraduate position or postgraduate school. So basically what happens is you study, there's books that you can buy, and I can't name them off the top of my head. However, I will provide a link for you wonderful hosts, and I will allow them to find it so that you can find it right online. But you take the test, there's like a logical reasoning portion, there's a reading comprehension portion. It is a lot. But I'm a firm believer also that what's for you can't pass you as long as you do the work. So I know that a lot of people are like, oh, the LSAT is this huge thing, and it is a hard test. I do know statistically, culturally, we test lower on that test. So culturally, I think our average score as African Americans is probably, I think, like 7 to 10 points lower than our counterparts, which is crazy because that's important to get into law school, and it determines the law schools that you get into. But really is one of those things you study, you get these books. I studied for maybe about 2 or 3 months and stepped out on feet.
So like I'm gonna just tie this little anecdote in, right? Because I took the LSAT like last year, and I know me and you talked about this on Instagram about law school and things like that. And it to me, that test, like people don't know that test is expensive. It's about $450, for everything, with the transmission of your scores through the LSAC to the school. You got to pay for all that, and I didn't score well at all. Like it really was a shock to me how bad I did. But it's not. And that's not to say you give up, because I think in life, if you're persistent about something and you want to achieve it, it's not going to be easy. It's something that you have to continue to strive for. And I say that to say this, like, people that are listening, if you want to go to law school and you think the discouragement is that the LSAC is something too hard, it's just repetition. Continue to buy those books, continue to do practice exams, and get yourself familiar with it, because everything is about the timing of the test. Like those sections are 35 minutes long and it's 28 questions. So that's not a lot of time if you think about it. That's about a minute each question, or a minute and a half each question. So you really have to be like familiar with the way the questions are, the analytical reasoning, the logic reasoning. Your reading has to be fundamental, and you have to understand how to skim and kind of understand how to pull out the main point and everything like that. Stuff that you learned years and years ago in high school and things like that. That all comes into familiarization when you take the LSAT. Like it's a difficult test, but I think if people want to achieve it, they can, but it's just practice.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's definitely repetition. Even when you go to take the bar exam after you graduate law school, or even when you're learning things, like within law school, repetition is the most important. I think there's 5,000 hours of things you're supposed to commit to get to a form of mastery. So if you're ever trying to master anything, they say, I think maybe it's more than that, but it's somewhere around 5,000 hours to be a master of something. Like I said, statistically, we test lower. I think it's the way we think, right? Like culturally, we think different from our counterparts, just because of things we've been through, experiences we've had. And so as a result, I think another thing that I would recommend, and I know it's a lot of money to take the LSAT. I'm a firm believer of, not everybody has the resources, but if you can find a lawyer, reach out to me. I will find out if I can find a resource for you. But I think that people should also, I feel like, get a tutor if you feel like you can't. And I think that would be my recommendation, because culturally, we're not used to asking for help, right? Like nobody wants to get a tutor. Nobody wants to feel like the dumb or stupid person, quote unquote, in the room. And so a lot of times that deters us from asking for help where we need help the most. And I think going through law school and the LSAT process is so important to highlight how, if you need help, it's okay to need help. It's okay to not know. And it's okay to like find a tutor and ask to accomplish those goals, because sometimes you just need it, to be honest.
Yeah, nah, I feel that. So with you being in law school, right? I mean, everybody knows that's a pretty, that's a difficult task to, accomplish, right? So how was your experience in law school? Like how tough were those classes and courses?
Law school is something that you really can't explain. I know that sounds crazy, but it's different from any other schooling I've ever did. I tell people I got my undergrad, right? And then I went and got my master's, and I worked full time while doing both of those, right? Like I'm juggling social life, work, school. We're having a blast, right? Life is great. And then I went to law school and all of that halted, right? Like the only thing I did was law school, and it was still difficult. So I say that to highlight how you can manage so many other things, but when it comes to law school, it's kind of like you're locked in. It's a different way to think. And so you're reworking your thinking process. You're learning how to ask questions. You're kind of going against the grain of the way that you were raised, depending, because of the difference in the way that we think.
That's interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I think that so the example I gave earlier, how we typically culturally, a lot of times you don't ask for help, right? Like you only ask for help like if you really, really need it. Well, a lot of our counterparts in law school, they avidly go and ask for help, or the way that they think has already kind of been shaped to a law school experience, especially if they're not a first generation lawyer. Because once you become a lawyer, it's kind of like, especially when you're raising, I mean, I don't have kids, but I have godsons and a goddaughter and such, and a niece. So when you're shaping those cultural experiences, you kind of say like, these are what I learned, this is how I think, and you pour that into a kid, right? And so a lot of times they've been around lawyers, they kind of know differently how lawyers think. And I think law school, yes, is an even playing field for everybody, but some of us kind of have some background. So that's what I say, like culturally, it's just different. We think different, where we would, deductive reason and get 6. Counterparts might deductive reason and get 2, or even you are writing, a lot of law school is writing, right? It's like essays. You're submitting these to a teacher who you want to understand you. And the more that they understand you and the more that you're appealing to their understanding, that's how they grade the test. So if I think differently from you, right, me trying to rework my mind to explain what you need me to explain is just different, right? It's like polar opposites in some respects. So I guess that's what I mean.
That's gotta be difficult. That's a task right there.
Right. So it's kind of like you had to go through a metamorphosis in regards to your mind state. You had to change.
Yeah, for sure.
Like your thinking could not be the same as it was in your graduate schooling of getting your master's or in your undergrad. It had to evolve to a different way.
For sure. I think I grew the most in my life in law school, because I tell people life doesn't stop just because you go to law school, right? Like you still have your bills, you still have, family, you still have, if you have to work, you're working. If you're not working, you're stressing about money, right? Because law school poor is a different type of poor. Especially if you're not working. So there's a whole growth aspect to it where you're growing mentally, you're growing, physically, right? Whether you're working out or finding different outlets. So yeah.
Wow.
All right, man, I can dig that. So where did you attend law school? Well, first of all, where did you go to school, period? Let's start from the beginning. I know we talked about it a little bit prior to recording, but from high school to law school.
Okay, so I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania, but I have lived in Delaware for a really long time. So high school, I went to Christiana High School, class of 2011. I heard the co-host went to William Penn or something. We'll leave that out. So I went.
Oh my God, the shots is you just unloading them.
I don't know why folks be hating, bro.
I don't understand. Like, there's so much hate when William Penn is like undoubtedly unmatched in regards to being the best school in Delaware.
It's funny because I think you guys lost in volleyball pretty much every time we played y'all, but unmatched, tomato, tomato, you say unmatched, they lost. Either way.
Wow.
All right, man. So Christiana High School.
Christiana.
The Vikings, right?
The Vikings.
Look, I didn't even have to mention, all about us. We don't even have to.
It's because we athletes. We athletes. We gonna know your mascot. We athletes.
I have no idea what your mascot is.
I remember the people we used to smoke all the time. That's what it comes down to, especially in track.
Especially in football too. Football, we already knew we was gonna go up 40 points. That was we came to the game like, we're gonna score 40 points.
40 points. I can't.
40 points.
I don't remember. I don't recall. Shout out to all my football friends. I'm gonna stand beside them. But after high school, I did the seed program. Shout out to Delaware for a second for having a seed program where you can go to community college for 2 years, paid for, depending on your GPA in high school, and then transfer to like Wilmington. I think I don't know what the other school is, but I was fortunate enough to get accepted into the seed program because college is not super affordable for everybody. And so when I went to the seed program, and then I graduated from Wilmington University for my undergrad. My master's program, I attended Goldie Beacom College. I got my master's in business administration. It's a concentration in entrepreneurial studies because one day I hope to help entrepreneurs. And then I ended up in law school at Widener Delaware Law on 202. So
out here making moves.
Facts.
People think I like school because I've been in school for so long. I just realized what school can get you. So that's really.
Nah, you like school. You like school. It's okay. School's fine.
I really don't. I'll never go back. That's it, and that's all. They got this
That's it
out of me. That's it. That's all. They didn't pay me to go back, to be honest.
I feel that.
So would you go back as like an adjunct professor role?
I would. I think I would teach. I come from a family of educators. My mom was a teacher. My aunt was teachers. It's funny when people ask me when I was younger, did I want to be a teacher? I said, absolutely not. Like I used to go, to my mom's class. She taught 6th grade. She taught 10th grade. She taught everything. And I used to say like, Mom, I can't. These are other people's kids. They're not getting together. And, this generation's a little different. However, I will go back as an adjunct because now in my profession, I value the fact that seeing people that look like you in an educational experience is really important. And we don't have enough, African-American people, whether it's male or female, I feel like as teachers, because when you grow up somewhere, right, a lot of times you can't see past your environment. I think it's very rare that someone goes outside of what they've seen. Not good or bad, just because you are your experiences in a lot of ways. And so I think that if you can start showing people younger that you can be a teacher, you can, be a college professor, these are different things, and just pouring in to kids as they're younger, I think that shapes them tremendously as they go.
Yeah.
Like, for example, who did you guys ever have a Black teacher? What grade did you have a Black teacher?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean, I had Master Sergeant Rush all through sophomore to senior year.
Okay, before high school, or even in college, like
before high school.
Yeah.
Ooh. Probably Jim.
Right.
Honestly,
I think I had
a Black teacher. I take that back. I'm sorry. I had a Black female teacher, Miss Stevens, 3rd grade, 3rd to 4th grade. She was dope, but that's about it.
That's definitely like, because I think I had one similar to Smoove, like one 3rd grade teacher that was Black, but this was in New York though. This was in Delaware. And then when I came here, I think the next time I had a Black teacher was freshman year of high school. I had Coach Jones when he started doing the marketing classes.
Oh, word. Okay.
That's it.
College?
And college, I had Black instructors. Yeah, but they were all like law enforcement, and because I went to Wilmington U too. They were all like law enforcement, and no lawyers, no adjunct lawyers that were Black.
Right, but so if you think about how many years are you in school? You're in school for so long. So for you to ever be able to just recall like 2 or 3 years out of 12 plus, where you had the experience with a Black teacher, is crazy to me. That's wild.
No, it really is wild. And that used to be like something that I wanted to do. Excuse me, growing up, I wanted to teach. But I mean, that eventually changed. But yes, a Black role model in the classroom is like, I think that's so important to people that look like us in the classroom. I mean, it's like inspiration. It's like you know, this person is actually doing all right in life. You know, they come to school, they putting us on game and stuff that's a part of the curriculum and maybe not a part of the curriculum. I mean, that's at least that's what, you know, somebody like Sergeant Rush did for me in high school. You know, he was just putting me game, prepping me for life after high school. And that's something that, you know, a lot of us need around that time. So yeah, I feel you.
No, that's facts. I think that's so important. I completely agree. I feel like when you have those experiences, it's nice to see someone who did life, right? And can tell you that you're not crazy for what you're going through. Or even say to you, these behaviors that you're exhibiting right now aren't it. They won't get you far. Because sometimes not everybody is fortunate to have someone who has those discussions with them at home. Not good or bad, but just they're not that fortunate. And I thank God that I was that fortunate to have parents that had those discussions with me.
Yeah,
Wow,
I agree. We had a speaker on here, or a guest. I'm sorry. It was a couple of weeks ago. We had Dr. Deborah Mason on here. Shout out to Dr. Deborah Mason. And you know, one of the things that she was talking about was what was it, Matt? The normalcy or normality, the principles of normality or something like that.
Normalcy. I can't speak today, but I know what you're saying. The principles of like normalness.
Right. So she was talking about how, you know, when we're raised a certain way or how we're raised doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that's normal to somebody else. Like having a gun in the house, for example. You know, she was talking about how, you know, she's raised her boys not to have weapons in the house. So whereas somebody else, you know, their mom expects them to have a gun in the house. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. You know, it sounds crazy because it's normal to somebody like me to not have that, but you know, it's perfectly normal to somebody else. It's just way life is crazy.
Right. Products of our environments, right? Like
that's true.
Some of us are raised on love and some of us are raised on survival.
Yes.
And you know, some of us are raised on a mixture of both. And you don't get to choose. You kind of are thrown into it. So that's so cute.
So let's go back to the law school experience, right? Because usually law schools are predominantly white institutions, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct.
Okay, so let's dive into, because this is something we talked about, I want to say a few episodes ago when we talked about like interracial and we talked about tokenism. Did you experience that tokenism experience during your time at law school?
In regards to tokenism, I don't know if I would call it that, but the way that I'll explain it is, and I think that a lot of people can relate, right? If as African Americans, sometimes we feel like we have to be exceptional to be accepted, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You come, and I plan to do a whole blog post about it, but we can get into that. I haven't released it yet, but it's interesting that you asked me that because that's the first thing that comes to my mind, right? Like you feel like you have to be at the top of your class. We have to work twice as hard, you know, as our counterparts. And so you have this experience where you're like, the only way that they're going to accept me is if I'm exceptional, right? Or like I'm getting things right, or it's just something that you experience in law school. And I think that it's also a balancing act, right? Because you realize that, you know, first things first, I'm Black, right? First things first, when I wake up every single morning, I'm African American. I was taught that nobody is greater than me, but I'm also not greater than anybody else. We all put on our pants the same way in the morning, you know? And so you come to this place where you're like, okay, I'm Black first, but do I diminish that because I need to fit into this culture at this law school, you know, or do I just say, you know, I'm Black first every day? And so I think that even the people who experienced law school during the time that I did, right, we had George Floyd and we have social unrest, and right, they're like protesting and you're going to school and that's huge to you, right? Like you want to be out protesting as well. And then, you know, you're trying to explain that to your counterparts, right? And then you're looking at them like, well, how do you feel about it? And they're looking at you like, how do you feel about it? And so you come to that, I guess, middle ground where you have to kind of find yourself. I think that I would encourage everybody to know that you're Black first every day. And it's okay to be you and in your culture, and you don't have to dumb that down for anyone. I'm a firm believer of that. So
I agree with you on that one, but I think it's going to continue to be where because it transitions and it transitions to real life and work experience as well. Like we're gonna have to continue to be 1,000 times better than our white counterparts or our Hispanic counterparts or our Asian counterparts, because we're looked at as the bottom of the barrel type of picking, right? So my resume has to stand out exponentially towards another individual because they're looking at it like, well, who do I pick? This white guy or this black guy? This white guy, his resume is standard, all this stuff, but this black guy's resume is like 100 times better. But they'll always pick a reasoning into why they cannot pick this black individual, black woman, black man, because of something that is just at the time doesn't make sense, or it's just not as important as it should be. But they'll pick the white counterpart because it's like, okay, we'll pick this gentleman because of the fact that we know what we're getting with this person. You gotta follow me what I'm saying here.
I think we know the answer to that. I'm sorry not to cut you off, but but to piggyback off of what she was saying, like you're culturally different, and I think that's the case I think when people are being themselves, especially Black folks, when they're being themselves, right? Like they see that we have this outstanding resume, right? But you still have that like you listen to rap music, you know what I'm saying? You have that vibe to you, like you're African American in America with a certain sense of pride, and they're not gonna like that.
I think it also, I completely agree with you, but I think that it comes to a level of comfortability, right? Like it's who you're comfortable with, right? Like if I go out, you gravitate typically to people who look like you. I see it every day, And so I think that it becomes a level of comfortability. I also think a lot of times I feel like what I've seen or experienced is that, we do have those feelings that we need to be exceptional to be accepted. And so whereas a job posting may have 6 different, requirements, if we only have 5 of them, we might not apply, right? Because it's like, oh, I don't have all 6. Where our counterparts, of different ethnicities might be like, I have 3, but I'm gonna let them tell me no. So I'm gonna apply to this job where I only have 3. And then, they're just applying. And we're like, no, I have to have all my ducks in a row. And I don't say that so that people start, just applying for jobs you're unqualified for. But also, if it's something that you want, I feel like let them tell you no, right? And if they tell you no, you're just going to be in the same predicament that you're in right now. So I think that it's us continuing to step out the box and kick those doors down that will kind of help with that.
So Cole, you mentioned like we should just be ourselves and stay true to how we maneuver. Doesn't matter what race we're in front of, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what you.
I do. I think, of course, there's always caveats, but go ahead.
Right. So when we talk about this new term called code switching, right? We kind of know, we never really called it a term. It was just like, you don't want to act too brazen, in front of those individuals because they might see you a little bit different. Now, are you against the idea or the behavior of code switching, or are you for that? Do you think that we should just our slang should stay the way it is? We don't have to switch the way we talk or our mannerisms or how we walk, or we should kind of dumb it down a little bit when we're in front of these individuals. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so that's a good and a sweet question, right? So I was raised that there's a time and a place for everything, right? Time and place for everything. I think that, I feel as though in a lot of those spaces, you should be authentically yourself. But there's a difference between being authentically yourself and being disrespectful or respecting someone else's culture. You get what I'm saying? Like I can be authentically myself and respect your culture, respect the way that you look at the world, respect the way that you respond to people. I might not like it. I might not love it, but I can respect it. So when people say code switching, I get it, right? I think I'm generally, as my friends, I'm generally the same person across the board, regardless of who I'm in front of. I don't feel as though I need to dumb myself down in front of anybody. I feel as though my light is my light. The people that I'm genuinely meant to attract, I will genuinely attract. And the people that aren't for me, there's billions of people in the world. Everybody won't like you. That is really the truth. Everybody didn't like Jesus. I don't know if you're religious, but Jesus.
No, that's true.
And everybody didn't even like him. So I would be remiss to think that I'm going to walk into a room, be authentically myself, and everybody in that room is going to.
That's
that
like, law school vocabulary right there.
I try to sprinkle it. No, I'm.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I think that when people call it code switching, I completely get it. I think of it as there's a time and a place for everything. I think as I go in generally, like, I want you to respect me and my culture. I will respect you and your culture. Might not like it, might not love it. Now, don't get too crazy calling us out of our name and stuff. Like, don't get too wild.
Yeah, it's a line drawn.
Right, but have a general respect for me as though I'm going to have a general respect for you. And if you don't like it, we can part ways. But I guess that's a long-winded answer to your question, but I hope that answered it.
No, it did. I appreciate, how you got to the point, and I love the you elaborating on that. So let's dive into because we haven't talked about it yet. We talked about your law school experience. We talked about the LSAT. You gave tips on that, which we appreciate because we got young listeners tuning in, and I know that we have a lot of people that want to continue their education and further. And a lot of people don't know, like, when you get your JE, that's actually a doctoral program. Like, you're getting your Juris Doctor. Like, people don't think of it as that way. They just think it's another graduate program, but it's not. It's very different.
Yeah.
And so let's dive into speak about your blogs, and you have a podcast as well. Can we get those? Can you talk about what you talk about during those things?
Yes. So I'm glad you brought it up. Right. So my podcast is called The Code Connection. You can follow it on Instagram at The Code Connection. My blog is The Code Connection, www.thecodconnection.com. And I haven't been as on top of it as I should. I will be very honest and transparent. I was transitioning into it during law school, post law school, before the bar. But I feel as though a lot of your listeners can probably relate to setting goals, and sometimes you don't get to them. But I'm going to keep knocking the doors down until we get there, right? So a lot of the stuff that I cover on my blog can be, just lifestyle, things like this, or even the podcast. I did one about, passion and peace, just being peaceful while you're pursuing your passion. And I think one of the main concepts is that there's power in the process, and so you have to find happiness there, right? And so I discussed it on a podcast because I feel like a lot of us are always going forward, right? We want bigger, we want better, and so we overlook the process itself. We overlook the stepping stones. We don't enjoy the building blocks. We don't enjoy building the foundation. So both my podcast and my blog is just basically focused on a young professional living this lifestyle, blazing this trail, just like a lot of my counterparts, giving advice where I can, not to be considered legal advice, right? That's the disclaimer. Right. But talking about topics, business topics, copyright topics, trademark topics, things that we don't always pay attention to as a generation, but trying to make them interesting because they really are.
And I go ahead, Smoove. Go ahead.
No, that was cool. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think if we would have had you on, we had shout out to Stephanie because she put us on game with the rental business and opening Airbnbs and everything like that. I think if we had you on while she was on, I think that would have been an excellent merge of
that would have
coming from the legal expertise and also coming from the business side as well. And you have a business background too. Oh God, I wish I would have thought of that before. That would have been freaking excellent, man. Just thinking that.
Well, no, I mean that's something that we can still do.
No, yeah, absolutely, as well. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh God, you guys are amazing, man. So I just want to continue to just show my admiration, Ms. Stokes. We appreciate you, and we want to continue to see you thrive and excel to the highest plateau, man.
Ms. Stokes is so formal. Nicole, please.
Okay. Cole World, right? So hold on. So you're doing this Cole, right? So is J. Cole an influence on you?
Is he favorite? No. Okay. So I was a firm, but he said he's with the gang. You with the gang. You with the
the Cole World, man.
So all day. Music is so important to me. My mom has a master's in music. Like, I listen to music every day.
Oh, wow.
My friends will tell you I played instruments. My family can sing. Like, my friends will tell you I like lyrics. That's it. And I think J. Cole was one of the first concerts that I went to when I got into music. I was never really a fan of I feel like celebrities, yes, they're celebrities, but they're people. I was never a fan. I went to a J. Cole concert and literally changed my life. He's
Yeah,
an amazing
that's what's up.
performer.
That's
He's
what's
an
up,
amazing
yo.
performer. It was just so real. His lyrics are so real. And so he became one of my favorite rappers, in my opinion. And he goes by Cold World. And it just fit, you know? So my friends will laugh and call me Cold World.
Go ahead, Smoove. Get on her about the music, man. Go ahead.
Hey,
Get her right now.
off top,
Get her right
I already
now,
know
bro.
her music taste is on point because Cole is her favorite rapper. So at this point, we really could move on. But
Okay.
no, I do want to pick your brain though.
Go ahead, get her, Smoove. Get her.
So I need your top 5.
Not a top 5. I'm on the spot. Oh my God.
Top 5. See, yes,
And we
yes,
ain't
that's what I love.
we ain't even add that to the question list because I was gonna get you.
Now we need genres, okay? Because I'm in the genres.
I hit you with the same thing I hit him with when we had a hip hop episode.
Okay.
So top 5 hip hop albums, dead or alive.
Hip hop albums.
Hip hop albums, strictly hip hop. Now, if you don't have a top 5, you can do a top 3. I know that's, you know what I'm saying.
Do artists.
I'm cool on the spot. I really love music, guys. That's like the hardest question. J. Cole for sure. J. Cole for sure. I love a lot of Kanye's old stuff. Like if we can go back to the College Dropout, I'm with you. You know, like if we can go back to Through the Wire, I'm on it.
That's on my top 5.
Right. I feel like Jay-Z, The Blueprint. I love the Blueprint.
Respect.
I love the Blueprint. Gosh, well, that would be definitely 3. I don't know. I'm just all into music, y'all. If we pick albums, I'm so for sure getting like a record player in my house. I want actual records. I like things to listen to from start to finish. Take Care, Drake, Take Care from start to finish. I want that on record.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of different stuff. I feel like shout out to her album, Her, from start to finish. That's a record. So I don't know. I'm all over the place, but
that's dope.
That is dope.
I'm actually in the process of collecting vinyls right now.
Are you? I'm jealous. Yeah. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I'm going around. I'm trying to find. I have let me not even say a majority.
You got a pretty good collection, bro.
Yeah, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy because I'm going to get out of hand with it. But I'm just going around and finding like at least like my top 10 favorite albums. But right now it's been like a few miscellaneous. And the idea is to throw the vinyls on the wall and have like a record player like kind of sitting underneath them in a sense.
Of course. Is there any other way?
Yeah, just an ode to hip hop. That's all.
Wait, so you're not gonna listen? You're not gonna listen to them on vinyl?
Nope.
Oh wait, no.
I'm not. Oh, you know what? Wasn't you the one that gave me the idea to double up?
Bro, getting another copy. So, they say listening, because they call those records albums. They say listening to them on vinyl is the best listening experience you'll ever have.
Okay, but I have a question because everybody made me drop my top 3 on the spot, and I ain't hear the other episode. So go ahead and weigh in. I'm trying to see what's
top 3 artists.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's hard. I don't know if that's my top 3 artists, but those are 3 that I like.
So top 3 artists for me, right? I'm an East Coast guy. It's always gonna be New York, right? So top 3 for me, Nas is up there.
If I ruled the world.
Jadakiss. And my third, this is tough. You know what? I'm gonna throw J. Cole in there, man. I'm gonna throw J. Cole in there.
What happened to Jimmy Capo?
Oh, whatever ball go by. Jim Jones. Oh my God, Jimmy.
Y'all saw the verses. I mean, I ain't gonna say they lost, but I'm gonna say they should have practiced for real.
Nah, they lost. The Locks came in and completely destroyed them. That wasn't even a battle because the Locks. I think they forgot the Locks discography was just crazy, and it was like, we're just gonna come out here and just do our thing. Those dudes came out like they was 20 years ago, back in the 90s.
Facts. Like they was still really relevant in the streets like that. Like it was dope. It was dope, man. Their energy was there.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
that
Smoove.
was fun.
Go ahead, Smoove. What's your top 3, bro? Top 3 artists.
Top 3 artists of all time or right now?
All time.
That's still hard for me either way.
Hard when you like music. I really don't like this question for people who like music.
Okay, so top 3 of right now, currently.
top 3 as of right now, like who I could play back from beginning to end all day, every day right now. Obviously, it's gonna be Cole and Kendrick. And then my third,
damn, I forgot about Kendrick.
Shit. My third, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be in a constant rotation. It could be Nas one day. It could be Common one day. It could be Most. It could be, I don't know, Currency. I've been playing a lot of him lately, like a lot of his stuff. And
damn, you ain't say my boy.
Crit?
Nah, the Pac. Anderson .Paak, bro.
Oh, it could be Pac. I don't know. Like,
isn't it a shame that none of y'all, and neither of y'all mentioned any new age rappers? Nobody rappers.
I don't listen.
It's not.
I'm gonna say the new age rappers that I like, but they're not in my top 3 because if I had to do my top 10, they probably wouldn't even be it. But YBN Cordae now, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
I like Logic too, but Logic don't really rap no more. But Logic was pretty. I liked a lot of his songs, and because he's very good lyrically, even though people don't like him because he's like a white boy, but he was very good lyrically. And I think if new age, I'd have to put either Lil Baby or the Baby in there. That's if we're gonna new age, either one of them two. Like that'll be my guys.
I'm like, can I alter my top list to include Lil Wayne because I was with him on the party. You know what? I was with him on the party in high school.
Yeah, nah, you can add Weezy.
We gotta add him in there. I can't not mention him.
You can't not mention Wayne, and that's real shit. I was just playing one of his old mixtapes, one of his many, right? But just one that you rarely come across, right? Bro, that mixtape was from like 2006, maybe 2007. I mean, dude was just like bar after bar after bar, and like the way he would switch his flow. Yeah,
it's Wayne, the lyricism for me. That's where it's like when you're really chatting about real life things. It's the way the words come together that really sits.
Yeah.
I forgot to add, man. God, I grew up with this man, Meek Mill, man. Meek Mill, Rick Ross. My God.
Yeah, Meek is definitely. Meek is always. I don't know why I mentioned him.
What for Rick Ross?
How did y'all feel about the new album? I heard mixed reviews. The new album was
Rick Ross album? Meek's? Nah, Ross album ain't out yet. You talking about Meek?
Mm-hmm. Meek's new album.
I mean, it was cool. I haven't really, because it takes me a while to digest music. Like, it'll be an album that I downloaded maybe 2 years ago that I feel like I'm in the mood to listen to right now. So I haven't digested it yet. So I can't really give a fair assessment on the album.
I think I listened to about a few of the tracks in the beginning, but you know how like when you listen to an album, it catches your attention. Like, especially when you're driving, you just put music on just to play it, but you're not really listening. But if it's an album that I know is good, it catches my attention. Like the wordplay will catch, the beat will draw me in. Like, oh my God, what am I listening to right now? But I didn't get that vibe from his album. You kind of give me like that Kendrick Lamar album, that Damn. Yeah. That album you can run through and not skip a track. Like it'll gravitate you, it'll grab you. Certain albums would have grabbed me, you know what I mean? But that album, I didn't get that gravitational pull.
Okay, that's fair.
I need to let it digest. Now, if we get into like some old music, like Shy Lights, you know what I'm saying, the Ohio Players type music, then that's real music.
I love to see it. You really, really
that's real. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's real music to me. Like live instrumentation, singers, you got the background singers, you got, the sopranos and the altos and all. Like if you actually hear this stuff, or if you know music, because I used to play an instrument as well, right? And actually me and one of my homeboys, I know I'm rambling right now, but me and one of my homeboys exchange music all the time. And I think what makes the music bond there is because he played an instrument too. And I feel like when if you played an instrument, like your music senses are like heightened, and you know what to hear, you know what to look for in a song and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right. You said music. Now we're all off topic, and I just have to know what instrument you played.
I played sax.
Okay, that's a good.
I played sax too.
Did you? Y'all were in band at William Penn? No, y'all were.
No, that was in elementary school. I
currently was too cool for band. Y'all was
it wasn't in that. Like elementary school, the dude I had as my band director, he kicked me out of the program, and I was just like, "Why'd you do that?" He kicked me out.
Wait, what happened?
He kicked me off because I think back then I liked band, but I really wanted to play the drums. Like I wanted to play that, but I couldn't because they put all the white folks on there, and they put me with the saxophone. But I didn't really like the sax as much, you know what I mean? So I didn't really practice as well. But currently, I play the harmonica.
Okay.
Do you really?
Yeah, I got a harmonica in the crib. Yeah.
What the hell did you turn into a Willie Nelson? I did not know that.
Remember when Collected, we was all talking about we was gonna form a band. He bought a trumpet or a violin or something like that. And he bought that joint, and I was like, bro. And then I Googled like the cheapest instrument, but the easiest to kind of play. It was a harmonica. I bought that thing on Amazon for like $20.
That is hilarious, bro. I didn't know you really bought that.
But harmonica though, like the crazy thing, that's more of like the bluegrass, that jazz, that it's that funky type of music. Like if you ever listen to a harmonica player play,
Stevie Wonder.
They really go in, man. Like they go in, and that's crazy.
It really is. It takes talent for sure.
Oh my God, it's such a small instrument, and to be that well with the precision of hitting those notes, it's very remarkable to watch.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. Golly, we over here talking about music now. That wasn't even. But hey, it's love though. I love the energy because you came alive.
Oh, girl, I said that's music, honey. Music is my life.
Wow. So you know how to sing, huh?
I mean, I used to, yes, but life happens. You get older, you're young, your lungs not what they used to be. My little brother still sing. My mom can sing. My older brother's been playing the drums since he was 3.
Nice.
My younger brother, they both produce music, produce beats.
Oh wow.
So when you said that the musicality of a lot of music like catches me, I completely agree. I played the piano, the violin, the flute.
Oh wow.
The drums for a little bit. So yeah, music is it for me.
That's what's up.
Wow.
That's cool. That's cool.
Wow. Cold World dropping some gems with this music thing. Jeez.
Cold World, get a blanket.
Yeah, exactly.
Real Cold World. Okay.
Oh wow. Wow. So let's piggyback, right? Let's dive in a little quick. Because I see, I follow your Instagram and I see that you have a lot of fitness videos put up there. Shout out to the place you go. What they call TR Fit. So explain how you got into this fitness realm, because it seems like you are extremely dedicated, because it's like every day you put up videos and I'm like, dang, she go there every day. Sheesh.
I'm an addict. I love the gym. No, so how did I get okay, so I've always been an athlete. In high school, I was an athlete. I played in college before I left and went to work. So I've always been athletic and I love the gym, but I'm not really like a workout by yourself type of person. Like if you put me on a treadmill, I'm like, why am I on this treadmill? Jesus, this isn't it. I don't have that. I'm getting off. So I just love like the community of the gym. And so I tried Orange Theory, I've tried CrossFit, all wonderful places. But when I was in law school, a lot of people, in my profession, it's very high stress. And so you try and find an outlet that's healthy. So during law school, I just started working out by myself, went to some classes at the Y. The pandemic came, everything got shut down.
Yeah.
And I told you guys earlier, if a Black person created it, I want in on it. And so TR Fit is a Black-owned gym. So shout out to them. And I said, let me go through and try it. And I absolutely love it. It's the perfect mix of cardio and strength. I haven't been at this weight since high school. I feel like, people say college, but let me tell you, I never thought it would be me until after college. And I was like, oh, wow, none of my friends told me that I was getting a little thicker. Like none of y'all told me. So I've been back in the gym. I do work out like every day. I started 3 times a week, but now I'm there every day. And I think that it's just one of those things that it's hard to get into, but once you're into it, you're into it. And I literally can't go like a day without the gym.
Wow.
I wish I had that motivation.
Me too.
Wish I had that motivation.
I need it.
You just got to start. You literally just have to start. I think it was one of those things where we were in the pandemic. All we had was plenty of time. I think Delaware opened their gyms a little bit sooner than a lot of other places. I was like, I need something to do. Let's go to the gym. And I love it there.
Because it's crazy. When I first heard about that TR Fit Club, I'm like, where this, it literally, for me, it felt like it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like it just popped up out of nowhere. And then everybody, all the like, I'm not gonna say high status, but all the influential like Black people were going there. And I was like, oh, this one might be okay. A lot of people go to that thing. A lot of people.
That's what's up.
Open for like a year and a half. So I started back in June 2020. I think they had opened a little bit before that, but they've actually like been training or doing what they do for years. And I think that they're the perfect example of like a Black business who has been doing the work, like, and now it's just starting to catch like wildfire after 5 years, 6 years of working and trying to get into the game. Now people are coming and it's expanding. So shout out to them.
Fact. Shout out to them. TR Fit Club, right?
Yeah, TR Fit Club. And people love to say, there's this little running joke that, girls that go to TR Fit are a red flag. And I just want to speak.
Wait, what?
That's what they be saying to me. They're like a red flag when they go to TR. I saw that on the gram, and I just want to say, if they don't work out, then say that. Then like if you out of
I think you know what it is. I think the men like they see that a lot of like attractive women are working out there, so it's a little bit of insecurity in a sense. They're gonna say that just because it's like, all right, well, if I say all these women that go there is a red flag, but because they're so attractive, I can't go and approach them in a way because the rejection might be there. So I think that's just to say that I've never thought that women that go there is a red flag. That's just dumb. That's stupid. That's dumb.
Because they're beautiful and they run in circles around a lot of these men too. Plug my girls that go there. They are really top tier.
Talk about it.
Nah, I've seen the videos and sometimes I'm just astonished. I'm like, damn, these women squatting how much? Oh my God.
A lot of them hitting over 200.
Oh my God. I'll go in there. I'll probably get embarrassed. I ain't going in there. I'll probably get embarrassed.
You guys want to come with me? You're welcome anytime. I welcome everybody to come to the gym.
I'm not even in Delaware. I ain't been back to that place.
Yeah, ain't nothing but a trick, right?
Nothing but a
I got a local YMCA. I'll tap
literally
into
right down
them.
the street. Literally right down the street.
I mean? Lift my weights, go hoop. I'm good.
I'll definitely join. I'll come one day. I'll come one day.
I can't wait. And we can come back and talk all about it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna come back and not be able to lift my legs.
I mean, that might happen, but if it's, they say you have to go through the hard phases.
No, that's facts.
The results you want.
No, that's facts.
Nothing in life comes easy. Well, nothing worth having comes easy, they say.
Nah, it's not. And it's crazy because it's like, as we started this podcast, right? I'm looking, I'm like, I know we about to drop some fire content. We're gonna blow up. Like, ain't nobody telling us nothing. And then it's like, it can't be that easy. It just cannot be that easy. And I think it's just work and consistent work, putting out content. And then, we're going to blow up eventually because we put out some quality stuff,
Yeah, for sure.
It's all about the consistency. But what are your goals currently? What goals do you have in life?
Goals. Okay, so that's really a good question because I've actually been doubling back on this myself because I'm a goal-oriented person. So once I completed law school, I was like, dang, what am I going to do next? I think it's just to continue to expand. So podcast wise, blog wise, to actually become consistent with that as I transition to my new profession, right? And learn that as well as to keep, just going forward. I think one day maybe I might write a book, who knows? I definitely want to be one of the top attorneys in the nation. So y'all heard it here first when it happens.
Oh, say it again. Well, say it again.
I heard it here first when it happens. I want to be one of the top lawyers in the nation.
Oh, wow.
Practicing, hopefully, business, entertainment, sports, contracts, copyrights, that type of law, corporate law. So those are just my goals to keep growing. Immediately, podcast, blogging. I love sharing my current experiences with people, which is why one of the reasons I was so excited you guys asked me to come, because social media is the highlight reel of everybody's life. There's not enough transparency. And so a lot of people are comparing their regular lives to people's highlight reels. And it's a hard space to think that, look at all these people with all this stuff and nobody shows the hard work that went behind it, the 6 years that it took, to get your business off the ground, or the, however many podcast episodes you guys have put out before, it catches like wildfire. So just to continue to be transparent, to find different avenues to share, to provide these different platforms. I'm just kind of getting adjusted right now. Lawyer life is different. I'm in my first year, guys, of becoming an attorney, so that's a big transition in itself.
So hold on, wait, go ahead, Smoove. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say congratulations again on even accomplishing, like, even, you know what I'm saying, like I couldn't even imagine myself saying something like that, like, oh, I just got done, taking a bar exam, like,
stressful.
Jeez, the bar exam.
Stressful.
And for people that don't know, Delaware has one of the hardest bar exams in the country.
For real?
They're at the top. Like, it's Louisiana and Delaware. They're the hardest.
Why is that?
And California, they're the hardest. It's because
I'm sorry. I think for Delaware specifically, we practice a lot of business law here. So a lot of businesses come here, they incorporate here, they form their corporations here, just because we have a lot of okay, how do I explain this? So in the legal field, we call it like precedent, right? So like when anybody goes to court and a case gets decided, that decision is binding on all the courts, like within that district, whether it's within that state, well, depending on like how high the court is. So for example, a lot of Delaware courts will follow what other Delaware courts have said, right? Because we're all in Delaware. So a lot of businesses come here to incorporate because so many businesses have come here, we have a lot of like laws on business. So it's like you kind of know what you're getting into if you come. Well, a lot of people aren't business minded. A lot of people don't have the business acumen. Who knows in depth about corporations? Not a lot of people, like, stockholders and derivatives and stuff. And so a lot of that is on the test. That, and we're a really small bar. So I think that's a couple of the reasons it's so difficult.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Just because you're not used to,
Yeah. So check it out. I did want to ask you this question. It just popped into my head. The case that's going on in Georgia right now, Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
I know a lot of people were talking about how the juror selection lacked a lot of us.
Yes.
Do you think that was a fair picking or not?
I'm glad you asked me that, because I actually posted about this on my page.
Okay.
Will I say that it's fair? Probably not. But what I will say is that we need to start as a culture showing up for jury duty. Because a lot of times, I grew up like, you ask your friends, how did you get out of jury duty? Oh, I don't want to go because I don't have anybody to watch my kids. I get that, or I don't want to go. I don't want to take the day off of work, or I don't want to go. I just don't mess with the law like that. And so we don't get involved in the legal system because, rightfully so, it hasn't always been the best towards us. You don't want to be in court. But a lot of times when we're trying to get out of jury duty and we're coming up with those random excuses as to why we can't get there, or even, you couldn't get off work, all of that type of thing, and not being able to get off work is not an excuse, but I use it as an example for all of the many reasons that people might not be able to go to jury duty. Well, when we're not in jury duty, or we're coming out with excuses as to why we can't be in jury duty, jurors get selected, and then they look like the jury in the Ahmaud Arbery trial, right? Because we didn't show up. And so I feel like in a lot of these cases, like, we need to start showing up for us. Like, yeah, I might not want to be in jury duty. Yes, it might be inconvenient. Yes, I might have to pay for a babysitter, but in certain cases, it's like,
it's needed.
Right, it's needed. Like, we need to be there. We don't know, and we weren't part of jury selection. Jury selection is a whole different process, but we don't know how many, African Americans were even called into the jury pool. How many of them were dismissed because they had a valid reason to not be there, right? So we don't know all of those moving parts, and so I think it's very unfortunate. Do I think that it's fair? Definitely not, but I also think that we definitely need to start showing up and stop, because I see it, like, oh, I don't want to, even when I was younger, Dad, what did you say? Because I don't want to be at jury, like, have an attitude. I have to sit in this courthouse all day with no phone. You're kidding me. What can I do to not have to be there? And it's like, sometimes we need us because we culturally understand it.
Gotta bite that bullet sometimes.
Right.
That's facts. And it's crazy that you said that, because I don't think anybody ever looks at it at that light. They just look at it like, oh, it's supposed to be a racism thing, and it's not, because it comes up to the prosecutor and the defense. They have to kind of be in a consensus of like who's going to be on the jury. So if the prosecutor says no because of X, Y, and Z, then the person can't be selected. So if enough of us is not showing up, then it's like, all right, well then we screwed the pooch on this one.
Right.
And I think that's very important. And I respect how you said that.
I definitely think we need to start showing up, for jury duty when you can.
Absolutely.
Like, I get it. And a lot of times the jury pool is supposed to be representative of your community, right? So if I'm in a community that, only 10% of the community is African Americans, and out of the 10%, the jury pool will reflect, we're going to pull 10% of African Americans. And then if out of that 10%, 9% of them have a valid reason as to why they can't go to jury duty, now we have, 1% to work with. So I feel like that's a thing. And then unfortunately, a lot of us are excluded, right? Because of felonies and prior things. So that's why I say, if you are someone that can participate in the process because you don't have a felony or you can get off work or you're fortunate enough to have someone to watch your kids or get off work, like, please stop giving, bogus excuses as to why you can't attend jury duty and just go.
Facts. All right, so let's dive in. Let's get political real quick. Let's get spicy. All right. So I call this man Sleepy Joe, but I'll refer to him as his proper title, President Joe Biden. How do you feel about him, and do you think he is a good president, or is he going to become a good president?
I think that I'm not sure, and I know that's right, the political answer, but I haven't been, with transition between law school and the bar exam, I haven't been as into politics as I used to be. I will say that there were a lot of policies in place that I feel like were promised, during the election. And I am, waiting to see how they play out, right? So a lot of things I feel like, within politics are moving pieces. So a lot of the things that are implemented now, we won't manifest until 10 years from now.
Right.
Or it's never an overnight type of thing. A lot of the programs that are put into place or repealed, repealed, of course, happens like that, but put into place, there's so many different moving parts, right? It has to go through the House of Representatives and the Senate, right? If you guys watch Schoolhouse Rock, which everybody should watch Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh, wow.
Schoolhouse Rock, baby.
Nostalgia.
I'm a Schoolhouse Rock baby. A bill is just a bill. It's only a bill on Capitol Hill.
That's funny.
We with it. But I think when you start to understand those moving parts, I think that he promised a lot that I haven't quite seen manifest that I would like, to see more movement on. I think I'm getting more involved in it now, post law school, because now, life is different and I get to kind of, be involved in different things. But I will say that not everything that was promised have I seen happen. I wish that there was more, movement on that. But a lot of people even like to, kill like Obama, right? And the public, and he didn't do this and he didn't do that. And J. Cole has a lyric, right, that they let, a Black man steer the ship and didn't tell him that it was sinking. Right. So it's kind of like, or, there's a whole bunch of different moving parts and you thought you could affect change and you didn't know that you had to get these parts cleared with these people and that. So there's a whole bunch of checks and balances within our system that sometimes you can't make the movement that you want to. Again, no excuses, but I think a lot of times we don't understand the politics behind it because politics is just that, politics.
Go ahead, Smoove. I'll tie in my stuff after, but go ahead. Talk. I
can't wait to hear it. I want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about this man.
So I can't really have a say so in this argument, or not necessarily an argument, but in this opinion of this man, because for one, I can't stand politics. I really don't like politics. Now, the ideal president that everybody has in mind, right? It's like, when it comes to election time, you have to pick the lesser of the two evils, right? The man is already, how old is Joe Biden?
Older, definitely older.
You know what I mean? He's an older man, okay? He might be in his 80s. I think maybe late 70s.
80, late 70s, pushing.
Yeah, late 70s. Okay. He, he's going to have his slip ups where he uses some old time American English and call a black man a Negro.
He's 78.
He's 78. So yeah, he might have a flashback to where he thinks that he's in a different time, and he's going to say stuff like that. But people, these are the people that you vote for.
Yeah.
I mean, what to expect. Like, if y'all, like, you have to look at these folks' track record.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't just go off the hype or just vote for somebody just because you don't want the other person. And like, that's how it goes, but you have to know who you vote for. Like Killer Mike talks about it all the time. Like, whenever people start to vote for, senators, it starts locally. Like, you have to know who these people are. And if you don't know who they are and you're just sending them up the ranks because you're picking, because you're going Democrat or Republican, you're not going to get anything solved at all. And the outcomes that you expect to get, you're not going to get them.
Right. I think that's so important. I think what you said, and I'm sorry, I just want to highlight that, to vote locally, like for your senators, your house, even like your school board, even your governor, your county executive, because a lot of those decisions, we feel like our vote doesn't matter. And it's like, if we start voting in our local elections, that's how you change the game. Like, let's get the people that we need in the Senate and the House, right? Everybody's mad that student loans are still a thing. Why can't we delete them? I'm like, can you vote for your local house? The House of Representatives, the senator? Because if you do, when the bill gets to the House of Representatives or to the Senate, like, now we know that we have someone in there who is like, yes, we're trying to get rid of student loans. I use that as, like a joking example, but that's really how it works. So I just want to say that that's so important what you said.
That's it.
So I can go and drop my opinion on this.
Yes, I can't wait. This seems good.
So one thing I have against President Joe Biden, right? And we talk about this all the time, me and Smoove.
You about to let go.
So the one thing I don't like about him, right? Because he was on the Breakfast Club and he made a statement, and I'm never gonna forget it.
Okay.
He said, so Google it when you get a chance. He was on the Breakfast Club when he was campaigning. He said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That's the one thing I didn't like, because a white man can't tell me what I am not. I didn't like that. And then secondly, I did not like that all the black celebrities, all the black Democrats were caping for this man so much, to the point where it was like being shoved down my throat that if I didn't vote for this person, I was seen as someone of inferior status or whatever the case may be. Like, they were putting him on this pedestal of just greatness when he was not. That's number two. Number three, I think that he's too old. Age. I think these presidents, like Obama, was a good age when he got elected. He was like in his 50s or something like that. So 78 though, brother, you almost get ready to go ahead and cross that other line. Go to crossroads. Bone Thugs and Bone Harmony. You about to
upper room.
You feel me? We don't wish that. I got older aunts and stuff.
I don't wish it. I don't wish it, but it's just, if we're gonna look at it logically, the life expectancy of a man in society is in his late 70s, early 80s. So he's almost at that precipice of being to that point. And then I didn't like his running mate. I didn't like Kamala Harris because she lied about a lot of things. She wasn't honest about when she was a prosecutor. It was a lot of things that it just hit me differently. Like, yo, just be honest. Like, people are gonna accept you for what you are. Like, be honest, tell the truth. And I think politicians have a way of, saying they're gonna be truthful, but then lying about it. Like, he's saying he's gonna do all these things for black folks, and it hasn't been done yet. And I get it, Cole. I know what you're about to say. Well, if he does these things, they're not gonna say it for 10 years. I get it. But I think, a lot of people look at it like, especially with President Barack Obama. I love President Barack Obama, but to this day, I just, in my heart of hearts, I cannot say concretely that he did things to amplify black folks in any measure. I haven't seen them yet. You could probably prove me wrong with any research, but let me say this. I think our problem is too, like, voting locally. Yes. Number one, we need to start voting locally. Number two is black people don't know how to put their money in a pot and say we need to put money toward this candidate. The Latinos know how to do it. The Asians know how to do it. The LGBTQ community knows how to do it. Because when Obama was president, he did two things that were they struck me very hard because I was like, damn, he really did that. He put one of the first, I think the first Latino Supreme Court Justice, Sonia Sotomayor. Then he passed the same-sex marriage bill, right? Which was gonna get passed eventually because it was a melting point. He had to be passed. But I think the communities put money together and they said, yo, if you're our candidate, we need you to do this and it needs to happen. We're gonna put this money toward you. Black people don't do that. They just
I don't know if we don't do it or if we don't agree. Does that make sense? So it's hard to put all your money behind someone if we can't get on the same page culturally within ourselves.
right.
Right. So, and I think a lot of that plays to education, right? A lot of people vote for names that they've seen, not because they know about the client or about the candidate,
Right.
but about the specific, like, oh, I've heard that name, repetitive, that's who I'll vote for. Or I heard a bunch of people say this candidate didn't do anything for me, so I'm not voting for them. And I think that we lack the education politically to even have the foundation that we need to make those decisions to pull the money together. So I don't know if it's, that we won't, or that we're not used to it, two, don't have the resources, because let's be quite honest, a lot of our counterpart, or a lot of, the people in our culture are struggling. We're, middle class, like, so for the example I'll give is, we had these conversations when everything was going on with George Floyd, right? And everybody wants to say they were looting, they were rioting, people were stealing. And the perspective that I put on that is some of these people have nothing. So if I can go into this store and get these $200 pair of sneakers and sell them for $100 to feed the kids that I have at home, if you've never been in a situation where you had to make that decision, you can't judge anybody that goes into a store that was already open and steals a pair of sneakers, right? Because a lot of these people are desperate for resources. So I think that I say that to say, like, if you got an extra $100, do you want to if you have an extra 10, do you want to put it behind a political candidate? Probably not, especially if you don't feel like you're going to see those results immediately.
But hold on.
Sorry,
go ahead. Now finish your point and then I'll interject.
I'm like, you're going to say, you know what? I'm not about to see these results. And a lot of times, and I get your point, a lot of candidates will go and they'll say something and they won't do anything. I completely understand it. But I also understand that there's moving pieces where I might have been a candidate that wanted to accomplish certain goals. And then everybody on the team, and when I got into office, that's specifically what I couldn't do. Now, if we had more money, millions, we can put pressure on the people around those candidates. Like, yeah, this is our candidate. And now we need to lobby all these groups around this candidate so that we know that they have the support that they need, but we don't have the resources to do it.
So, all right, I'm gonna flip it, right? So the Black community, right? I think we are the most that spend the most money on materialistic items. So Nike, clothes, different type of brands. You know how long the black dollar stays in the community? About 7 seconds. It's not. As soon as you get a dollar, it automatically goes to the dominant society or their brands or whatever. And I think that our thinking, right? We're on this materialistic thinking. We don't think about, well, this ain't gonna affect me, blah blah blah. The man this, the man that. And I think it's a little bit of ignorance because we're in a society that's technologically savvy to the point where now, if you say you're not able to understand what's going on, that you have a cell phone, right? You can get the knowledge that is presented to you. You can Google it, right? You can Google those goddamn Travis Scott sneakers that you want. You can Google who is going to be the political candidate that you want to put. And I think we idolize certain things that are always going to inhibit us to continue to live the way that we're living because we're not putting our minds to where they need to be. So, like you said, if you had $10, right, extra $10, you're gonna put that away, or you're gonna put that to your candidate, or whatever. But we get hundreds of dollars. Black people make a lot of money. They're very resourceful.
I guess I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we're very resourceful, but we continue to put this money in things that have no relevance, that do not matter, that do not uplift us in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I agree that we are the largest group of consumers. That's what
absolutely.
And if we took all the money that we had and put it back into Black businesses, we would be, we would have the most money because we're the largest group of consumers. But I challenge you to think about it as, you can say, yes, I'm going to go Google the political candidates, because you might come from an environment where you've seen people do that. Or, right, you're one of the rare cases that like you want better, you want different. And so you have changed your mindset to obtain that. And then you might think, well, why does everybody else think like that? Because everybody around me thinks like that. But you surround yourself with people who are like you. So as a result, you and your group of friends and me and probably my group of friends, yes, we're into politics because I'm going to surround myself with people who think like me. But we don't realize that we are the rare people in our culture that even think that way, right? And so we're like, okay, well, you can get on Google and Google Music. I give you this example, right? I think this way all the time with businesses. Like, we will dog a Black business, right? We'll be like, oh my God, the customer service was terrible. I'm never going back. We're going to leave a bad review. We're not giving constructive criticism. But, if it's a white business, we're like, oh, this was terrible. But the white business knows to send a thank you card. So the reason that I give that example is to think about it like this. Let's say you grew up in the middle of Philadelphia. There was a girl who sits on the stoop, right? She does braids all day. She might not have the best customer service. She might, cancel your appointment late, but that's how she saw all the successful braiders in Philadelphia do it. That's how they did business, and that's how they get money. So that's how she's going to run her business, because that's what she's seen. So if all I saw was my parents or my brothers or something of that sort, who, when they got money, they bought sneakers, what do I think? When I get money, I'm going to buy sneakers. I never saw anybody play the stock market. Why would I think I'm going to take that $10 and put it in the stock market? And I get it. We're in an information system where there's tons of information. You're always able to get on Google. However, a lot of those people are products of their environment. So there's a place of comfortability and complacency and things that you're used to. Who wants to learn something new and feel incompetent at 30, at 25, at 22? Nobody wants to feel incompetent. The stock market is daunting. Politics is daunting. It's so much to know, to figure out. And I guess that's the way that I challenge you to think about it.
Golly, well, I concede on this round to Cold World. That was a fantastic point, and I want to make that a sound bite whenever we do the editing, because that was amazing.
It will.
and I think you really hit the nail on the coffin with that one, and I appreciate that insight. So we're gonna wrap it up. Like, it's amazing. I love every bit of it, and I would continue to debate you to the end of time, but we're gonna wrap it up because I think you're an admirable foe. But any last thoughts on the show? Any questions, concerns for us, anything like that?
I think this was amazing. I encourage you guys to keep doing what you're doing, even when it gets hard, even when it's not easy, even if you feel like you have 2 people listening, or if you have 200,000 people listening. Somebody needs to hear what you guys are saying. And if it changes at least one life, it's so well worth it. So I encourage you to keep going. I thank you for inviting me to your platform. I thank your listeners for tuning into this. Just thank you. This was amazing.
Oh my God.
We appreciate you. Definitely.
That melts my heart. And that Smoove, I already know he's about to shed a tear from all those kind words.
Nah, that was much appreciated. Yeah, much appreciated. But Miss Cole, we're gonna end it with an outro, but you stay on because we want to talk to you more. But listeners, you listen, you dived in. We got a lawyer on the show, not an attorney yet, but we're speaking it into existence to get the Esquire added to her positive
name.
affirmation.
You know what I mean?
Man.
She's next time she's gonna be on with us, she's gonna be an Esquire. And we thank her. To step into the light, step into the mic. It's your boy M DOT.
Smoove the Black Kennedy, you already know. We out, y'all. Appreciate it.
Lovely Cold World. Thank you, guys.
Hi.